Okay, going to be flip-flopping or bouncing back and forth between adventure books and other role-playing games or other books that I'd like to get to. So this week, get into basically the Marvel Multiverse role-playing game. This basically will let you play any and all of the superheroes that you find in the Marvel universe. So this is like a slightly different gaming system that they use for here. So it's not the usual D20 or like the what you find in fifth edition. So every core rule book, it pretty much has a beginning part where it gets into like the actual a brief description of what to expect from this game. And then, of course, in the chapter 2, he gets into actually core mechanics, pretty much all you need to know on how to run the game. So the dice system in this one actually works slightly different in that you only need d6s, and so you only need like 3 of them. So they call it like the D616. Pretty much like for the fans of the multiverse, especially the cinematic universe, they'll recall that the Earth 616 is the actual Earth that technically we live in, and that this the Marvel universe takes place. And so like, the way the dice work is you have 3 dice, and you can get what they call the Marvel dice, or what you can just do is use a different set of different colored d6 or whatever. So what you do is you be rolling like 3 d6s, and what they say is the Marvel symbol would replace the 1, and that instead of being a 1, you count that as 6. So like for the example right here, 2 examples they show right here. For the first one, you would roll a 3, 5, and a 4, and that would be a total of 12. But if you rolled a Marvel or like a 1, that would actually count as 6. So that would actually count as 15. So that's how the dice system actually works and everything. So they pretty much have a challenge rating that you have to pretty much like the DC difficulty challenge for that you would see in Dungeons and Dragons. So and they have like the whole rank that you would have to hit the same kind of concept and everything, just a different type of rolling. So they also give a table for modifiers. So for instance in a sense you want to do something trivial, like pretty much walking down the sidewalk or whatever, you would subtract 6 to difficulty type of deal. Or like if you want to do something absurd, like if you're playing the Hulk and you want to pick up a skyscraper or something, that would be something that absurd and everything. It would be +6. And of course, they also get into impossible things, like using the Hulk as an example, trying to change the Earth's orbit or something by jumping up and down. He's like, yeah, that's kind of impossible and everything. So this whole first part actually gets into the actual descriptions of on how to the whole dice roll and everything. And then it actually gets into the character profile with chapter 3. So for instance, it actually gets in the back of the book. You can see the whole character sheet, and so you have your basic information, your abilities, your damage, the stuff that you do, all your powers and stuff, and it also has descriptions and stuff that you can use. And it's pretty much a two-part character sheet, like most of them. So as things fall over. So this part is pretty much getting into the actual ability checks and that whole character sheet. And so it goes into depth on all that and everything. And of course it actually does use Peter Parker here as Spider-Man to kind of give you a kind of description of how your character sheet would actually look if you were to write it up and everything. So for now it doesn't go quite right into character creation. It's as you can see, the next chapter actually talks about combat and everything. So in a sense, this is in a way kind of out of order and everything. So you can see here Colossus and Wolverine doing their famous fastball special, where Colossus pretty much tosses Wolverine right into the midst of battle and everything. So it referenced stuff from the comics and the movies and stuff and everything. So and the pictures and everything. So this one is that like I said, the whole idea of combat, and like it gets into the description of like all the different types of attacks, and like melee range and the special abilities, and like yeah, actually gets into like the whole description on that. And then you can see finally in chapter 5 you get into character creation. So like you can do one of two things. You can either take some of the superheroes that are actually in the Marvel universe and play as them, or make your own characters. So the way they do character creation with the abilities, they actually use the ability point pool, sort of like what you find in like as one option in Dungeons and Dragons. Now I'm sure you could probably like work with if you're a bunch of players that knew, you could probably work around with your DM, and all depending on who you're playing with and what kind of like of campaign you're going to be playing. So like you can do, that's what they give in here, so you can do it that way, or you can do it like another way, like a dice rolling. So like and of course with the character creation, they also get into all the minutia details of the character. So you, like the height, the weight, like your gender, your eyes, your descriptions, and like of course like it goes into like the description on how on how to make a character. So this like it gives you like a brief description on how to create characters. And of course you get into like also your backstories, and so like you give can get like any type of like a character. So like you could have like a background, like here they call them origins. So you could be like a Skrull, a Shi'ar, a Kree, a deviant, or an android, or so like you got pretty much like backgrounds to help describe where your character came from and everything. So then of course like you also got like occupations, like pretty much, okay, well, what are you? Are you an adventurer? Are you an assassin, or like an educator? So it kind of gives you like your occupation, like what you do and everything. So it also gets into like the traits, and like to further flesh out your character. So like you got like a good description on traits, and a good number of them and everything. And of course then of course in this chapter you can see like a good picture of like several of the X-Men. They get into the actual powers, so like ranging from like telepathy to super strength, like the Hulk, super healing, like Wolverine. This whole chapter is like relatively long, and so like because it gives like a number of different powers, and of course it has like the tables and everything for the like the power tables. So like you pretty much like can go in depth on like all the different types of powers you can do. Like you can see here like spider powers, like stuff that like Spider-Man would have and everything. So like this chapter is probably like one the most in-depth one that you'll see in this book, because it goes over all the different types of like abilities that you can have. Because like if you look at the Marvel universe, it's very wide. You got the characters from Captain America to like the X-Men to Fantastic Four to the every Avengers, like Iron Man, like the Hulk, and like of course all the villains, like the Sinister Six from Spider-Man, and you like, of course you got the Kingpin, you got the characters like Luke Cage, the Punisher. So like this is why the powers like chapter is so long, is because like you have so many different like characters in there, that like the vast range of abilities is so huge that you can just like the options pretty much are limitless, or like only limited by your like imagination and everything. So this is why this chapter is the longest out of them all, is because like you have like so many different powers and different characters that exhibit those powers through the comics and through the movies and everything. So you, like I said, you can pick and choose like some of the pre-existing characters that already exist, or you can like make your own. So now in chapter 8 they actually go through like all the different characters that like are in the comics. So this one actually goes through like alphabetical. So like you can see like every single character that like appears in the comics, the movies, and like and especially like even the overpowered card game that I've done. So one of my favorite characters, Blade. So you can probably remember the movies with Wesley Snipes. So like this whole chapter goes like whole in depth of like the different characters, and of course this is actually alphabetical, so like it helps like to be able to find like easier who you're trying to look for with it being alphabetical and everything. So this is another long chapter, like right behind the powers one, because like as I said, there's so many different characters in this like in the just the comics themselves, and like I mean you can even like or you can even look at like all the movies that have been released. So like I said, this is actually like alphabetical, so you can it's easier to find like the different characters and be able to flip through and like, okay, well I'm looking for like the Iron Man, or like here like Moloch, or like you be able to like easier flip through to find the characters. And of course like with all the characters, they already have them pre-made and everything, so like you don't necessarily have to like oh well I want to play Nightcrawler, so I'm gonna have to roll him up and everything. He's already pre-made, so you can play Nightcrawler, or you can run like an X-Men campaign, or like an Avengers campaign. You can look at like all the different Avengers and pick and choose, and like and of course like it does like the character creation before you can make your own characters. So like you could in a sense like make your own version of like the Hulk, or like you could be someone like that's similar to Professor X from the X-Men. And of course like here it actually does give the different Spider-Man, and as you can see like Miles Morales from the Spider-Verse, and Peter Parker from traditional Spider-Man, and of course like he was Spider-Man in the 2099 future, one of the future settings and everything. So again like the whole options for this book to actually run in like a Marvel like RPG campaign is like a pretty much limitless, and it gives you all you need to be able to do that. So like it lets you in a sense step into the movies, the comics, as the actual characters themselves, or your own characters. So and you can like jump in and have like your own characters like take part and like help the Avengers or the X-Men or whatever. And then of course with chapter 9 here, it actually gets into the multiverse. So like I was just describing, this lets you like pick and choose where like pretty much the times of like whatever. So like it goes into the description of the different time frames of actual comics, like right around World War II, to, like the 1960 and like 1960 and 1975, 1975 and 1985, and 85 to present. So like gives you, and of course like gives you also like other types of universes that like Days of Future Past from like the comics, that like you remember the Spider-Man 2099, you can do that. Gives you different like options to run, or you can just run it in like what the default setting is the present time. So like with especially with the movies coming in, like getting into the multiverse and everything, you can expand even on that and everything. So like this chapter 10, this is the last chapter, and this actually, as you can see, gets into like stuff for the what they call the narrator. Of course like is the pretty much the equivalent of the DM, GM, like whatever you call it, the pretty much the guy, the person that runs the actual game, not the PCs or player characters. So this whole last chapter is pretty much based on like info for the DM to be able to run a campaign. And of course they do in the back like end up like with more of like the power tables and everything, so it helps make it easier for like characters to pick and choose their powers and stuff. So like this one is pretty much like one of those alternatives. Of course, like I showed before, the character sheet. So this is an alternative to like D&D or Pathfinder, or like if you're not necessarily like want to run like a sci-fi one like Starfinder, or like the Aberrant or Trinity games that I've went over. This could be like definitely like a good like campaign setting to get into like comic books and everything. So like and of course like with going over the overpower card game, like you could pick that up too and use the cards too to kind of like help enhance this game and everything, or you can use this and kind of like to get into the card game, vice versa, or whatever, or you can just do one or the other. But this is definitely one that is good to get into like a superhero type of campaign. So like and as you can see, like the options for running superheroes are limitless. You can run your own characters or any of the characters that are pre-made already in here.